Here we have a headset from Spark RC Pro. These are 0 universal degrees cups. We don't need them. In front there are headset cups, 0.0 degrees. Bearings, one is from the top, other from the bottom. They are exactly the same in terms of the size, but their diameter internal is a bit different. So the one which has bigger hole goes to the front. Then we have crown races. This probably serves as compression ring. And you can see that Houston we have a bit of a problem. Firstly, this part peeled off, and then after trying to fit it in, this one broken down. However, because this can be replaced afterwards and it goes just on the fork, tested, it kind of fits into the headset somehow, not a huge problem at this point. Then we have spacers and the one which goes on the top. I don't even know how this is called, but basically it just guides the cable and connects everything into single place. The reason why we see those here is because we are going to replace them with CeramicSpeed bearings. One thing I would suggest you to consider is to change the cups at the same time you are doing that. While there are not too much play here, at the bottom one it's even bigger. The one which has less play will go at the top because it's more complicated to replace it. The one which is a bit more playful will go to the bottom because I could replace them later. The reason why I'm changing the bearings itself is because they have some sort of noise already. So it's not something very major. This one is a bit better than the other, because this one from the bottom. From time to time when riding I hear cracking sound, which is a result of bearing usage. They are already 7,000 plus on the bike, and I'm doing some maintenance. I decided to change them. The reason why I changed them to CeramicSpeed I will cover a bit later in the video. If this procedure fitting into the Spark is interesting to you, let's jump in. The main reason why I went with CeramicSpeed for this time being is to just see whether they can outlast the original bearings in terms of the duration, and at the same time, because the replacement process is a bit tricky, you have to untie everything and all that stuff, so it will be just a test. We will either prove it to be successful or wrong. At the same time, I'm not even sure whether I will have the same bike for so long that it could be enough long period, but keep in mind that it also very much depends on how proper you maintain the bike, clean everything, re-grease it and all that stuff. So if you are careless, this might not save you at all. Also, I'm not exactly sure how much this set of bearings costs, because in R2 bike I believe I saw it around 100 euros if I'm not mistaken, maybe even more. In Acros website it's 60 or so, I don't know. So without further ado, let's just try to make this work. In the package we have two bearings. One is bigger over the other. The bigger diameter bearing goes at the top. I don't actually have on hand the tool to measure it, but it's around so, and yeah, the black goes at the top. The white goes at the bottom. Just to make sure which one to use, I'm just trying to figure out which is worn out more. Yeah, so this one is worn out less. It will serve for the top. I already greased the frame. Whether you want to do it or not, it's up to you. We are inserting the cups. The angle you want to choose is also up to you. I will add a separate video in the corner so you can make your own decision which angle you prefer more. Myself, I add some grease into the cup, but also not everyone does that, kind of based on mechanics preference, I guess. So the bearing to the top goes with angle down, so it's set in. What we're going to do next is to add the crown race. I also grease it a bit. I'm reusing the same crown race as well as the compression ring, will be reused. It might be a good idea to change it, but because I haven't ordered anything and I assumed that the parts should be good as they are, but apparently they could have been better. Now, the compression ring is a bit problematic because I broken it down when doing a video about showcase of those headset cups. The one part was already messed up, but I finished messing it up completely and I broken it down into two parts. It's not ideal for sure, but what I'm going to do now is to just insert it and later down the road I will change it for the proper one. That's how it goes when the parts are the very tiny pieces around. Am I confident whether this will do its work the way it should? It might be a bit problematic, but we will see how it will look like once the fork comes in. I will just add some grease to the cups. The reason why it's good to grease the cups, that way they stick, so it's beneficial. Are you generous with the grease when it comes to the headset? Let me know in the comments. Alright, maybe I was a bit too generous here, but excessive will come out anyways. Nice. When installing those from scratch, you always have control where the cables will go. So for this reason, you can see that the longer one here is for the shock. So because it's in the middle of the lever, I made it in at the top of the dropper, while on the drive side, the brake hose sits above the shifting cable. So here is the brake hose and here is the shifting cable. So I made that adjustment. How this should be placed is the pin always goes at the front. It's kind of a bit of tricky process when everything is separated, because when it's not, you always have control. This one at the top signifies you where it should be placed. Now when it's not, you can make some mistakes. Keep that in mind. And if you wonder how do I know this, explanation here is pretty much simple. I already did that wrong way. Again, the brake hose will go at the top. Correct. And here, the longer one also stays at the top. Great. So the thing with this is, oh no, the bolt for the top is, thankfully it's in reachable distance. So yeah, the thing with this, no matter how many times you do it, there's still a bit of a chance that you mess things up. When you place the handlebars at the top, just make sure not to bend any cables. It is suggested to put some grease in the center. Alright, so the notch is in front and at the back. I haven't messed things out with this. As usual, full tightening of a bolt will be once the bike is on the ground, straightening and all that stuff, but in general, this is how the bearings can be changed. Of course, there are some things left, like reconnecting the brake hose, shifting cables and all that stuff, but it's kind of the procedure which is generic. I might create a video about the lockout of a SID because it's problematic sometimes. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward thing, but I won't recommend to do this thing on your own if you either don't have enough time or don't know how to do things or just don't want to oil your hand. So that's it. Thanks for your time, and if you're interested in other videos about Scott Spark, you can check them on my channel. So I hope to see you around. Would you want to hear how the hub should not sound? Well, I have an example for you. Not too good, huh?